Chapter 8: Cutting Off and Drawing Out. When leading group sessions, there may be the need to cut off members from sharing. So, cutting off is essentially the skill of being able to and willing to interrupt members of the group whenever it is necessary. And typically, situations that would need cutting off would be if a member is rambling too much, if they're telling a story, or they're just kind of talking and avoiding going deeper into the topics or conversations. And then lastly, if they're saying things that are just inappropriate to the conversation at hand. When cutting off, you want to be able to consider a few things. First, you want to consider timing, and timing would be making sure that you're not cutting off members too soon or too late. You have to be able to know when is the best time to do so. And then you have the use of voice, which is being mindful of your pitch, the tone, the inflection that you have with your group as the leader, because you also don't want to come off angry or make them feel not comfortable within the group. And then you also have clarifying, which would be just kind of being upfront and transparent with the group and letting them know, hey, at certain points you may be cut off or interrupted when you're sharing, so that we can move towards what's best for the group. And then also maybe considers developing nonverbal signals. So maybe eye contact or hand gesture to kind of get the members to understand, hey, I kind of need you to stop and we're going to pivot in a different direction. Cutting off a member who has the focus of the group. So if a member has been captivating the focus of a group, you're going to have to want to cut them off, and you can do so in different ways. First, you have cut and stay with the person. So you want to have them stop sharing what they're sharing so far and maybe go deeper into the conversation with them. And you can do so by asking them a question. You can also ask them a clarifying question or open it up to members of the group to address clarifying questions to the member. You can also have the person do some type of focus activity. So maybe, for example, the chair activity. You can also have the person comment to each member of the group and kind of repeat that comment over and over, and maybe have them add on to it as they're moving on to each member. You can also have the members give the person some feedback, give them their perspective, or you can have the members role play the person and whatever they have been sharing to kind of give the member an outside perspective. Then you have cut and stay with the topic, which means you're cutting off the member that has been keeping the focus, and you want to continue having the group's input in the same topic. And then you have cut and leave the person and the topic, and this is typically done when the conversation or the group is off on a tangent and you want to redirect the conversation to the group's goals, or if the session is coming to an end and you don't want to have to cut them off when members are becoming more vulnerable and sharing. Situations calling for cutting off skills. So typically, this would be the reasons why you're trying to stop a member from sharing. So if a member's comments conflict with the group's purpose, if they're saying things that are not productive or they're just unrelated to the topic, if a member is saying something that is hurtful, maybe they're making judgmental comments or their comments are just intentionally addressed to other members to hurt them. If a member is saying something that is inaccurate or misinformed, if the leader wants to shift the focus of the group, so maybe the conversation has gone on for too long in the same topic, or the topic has kind of run its course, the leader would want to shift the focus to a new topic. If the session is near the end, you would want to kind of summarize what's been going on so far and kind of stop the conversation from going deeper. When members are arguing, so you don't want to let members argue because that would kind of diminish the comfort and maybe create tension within the group. And then if members are trying to rescue other members because you don't want them to kind of comfort members and kind of reinforce maybe hopeless behavior. Drawing out. Typically, in group sessions, you will have members that are eager to participate, and you'll have some that are less willing to share to the group. This would require you to develop the drawing out skill of eliciting comments from members of the group. And the reasons behind why you would have to draw out members would be maybe if they're quiet, if they're uncommitted, they're reluctant to participate to the group. And some of the reasons why you may have silent members would be maybe they have fear and anxiety, they're scared, they're afraid of what people are going to think of them if they share. Maybe they need thinking or processing time. Typically, if you've had them do a reflection activity, they may need some time to think or to gather their thoughts to be able to share. Maybe they're just quiet by nature. Typically, people are quiet in all aspects of their life, and so they may need some help trying to participate in group discussions. If somebody is not mentally present, maybe they have other worries outside of the group that are taking up headspace and they're not present and actively participating in the group. So they maybe need some help being drawn out to participate with the group. If somebody is not prepared, maybe they had to go home and do an activity and they didn't do it and they're just not prepared to share. If somebody's confused, maybe they don't really know what's going on and they're just afraid to ask questions or to ask for clarification. If there's lack of trust or commitment to the group, so sometimes some members may be forced to participate in group sessions and that may require the use of drawing out. Or maybe members are intimidated by a dominant member or leader. So if somebody has a very strong personality, other members may be intimidated and not be willing to participate. Methods for drawing out members. So when you have members that are typically quiet or they're just reluctant to participate, these would be some of the ways that you can get them to participate in the group session. So you have the direct method, which means you are directly addressing the member and you're directly asking them to comment or to react on what's going on in the group session. There's drawing out delicately. So this is when you're more mindful of your tone and your attitude and the questions that you're asking. And you're also giving the members an opportunity to decline from sharing. Use of dyads. So you can have members share with each other first, give them some prompts to discuss, and then bring it to the whole group and have them share out what they shared with each other. The use of rounds, which would be having each member of the group share in a circle. You have the use of written exercises. So give them some activities, get them writing, and then bring it to the whole group and they can kind of share what they have written. The use of eyes. So again, kind of communicating with eye contact that maybe they're up next to share or you're giving them like their cue to let them know, I would like for you to share. We have the use of movement, which would get members up and moving and create a little bit more comfort with them and then kind of give them some prompts. When drawing out, there's a few things to keep in mind. It is not always necessary for all members of the group to speak up equally. Sometimes some members may need to speak more than others, and you also don't want to force people to share. Members can participate minimally, but they can still take a lot from the group if they're active listeners within the group. You also want to be mindful of the response that other members have when you're trying to draw out a reluctant member. You don't want to create tension situations and you want to make sure that you're just keeping it neutral and comfortable for the members to be able to participate. Also, as a beginning leader, when you're leading group sessions, you want to be very intentional and mindful when you're drawing out members to make sure you're not forcing them and you're not drawing out uncommitted members because maybe that's just not the best option at the time. And then lastly, you do not want to get stuck on drawing out uncommitted members because this could create more tension within the group and then make it difficult for other members to be comfortable within the group.